welcome to Canter Canter. So it's been a long old time since I have filmed a video, and I'm actually having to redo this one because last time I did it my battery was running out and I was speaking ridiculously quickly, so I just decided to redo it. So today what I'm going to be filming is a video that's specifically aimed at people who are starting riding. I just wanted to talk a little bit about sort of how you can go about starting lessons or what you need to start riding or whatever. I have seen a few of these on YouTube already, but I just thought I would do my own and have my own perspective of things and all of that. I'm going to split this up into three categories. The first is how to speak to your parents about getting them to give you the money for you to start learning to ride. The second is going to be what you're going to need for your first riding lesson, and third is going to be how to look for a stable. So yeah, let's just get straight into it. So number one is speaking to your parents about them funding your riding, basically. So obviously if you are old enough to have a job and you're starting riding quite late, that is absolutely fine, but obviously you'll be paying for it for yourself, so this step is a little bit relevant. But if you're younger and you are wanting your parents to fund you, or you're wanting it as a birthday present or whatever, it's important to go around it in the right way. Knowing from my own experience, I tried so hard to actually start riding, which is pretty stupid thinking back on it, to be perfectly honest. Now I'm a bit older, but I started riding at the age of 10, so I got into it quite late than other kids. And basically I sort of tried every single way known to man to try and actually get them to buy me some riding lessons, even down to the point where I made a presentation. Like, thinking back on that, that is the dumbest idea I ever had. Like, that is not a good idea at all. So I tried presentations, I tried whining about it, I tried going on and on and on, which obviously didn't work. So the best way to actually get your parents to agree to buying you lessons is to not only show how passionate you are about it, but also show that you've done some research, you know, that you've looked into stables, that you've obviously like had a look at the prices, because obviously as much as it would be nice to learn how to ride in a very expensive stables, it's not practical for your parents because obviously they're the one that is funding it. So that's what you want to do initially. You do want to get a list, sort of understand sort of from where your parents are coming from. They're obviously going to be worried that you're going to get hurt. They're all going to be worried about the expense because it isn't a cheap hobby. They're going to be worried about, obviously, if you're actually serious about it, you're going to carry on riding. And you may say yes now, but you never know. When you actually get on the horse, you might actually think, nah, it's not actually for me. So you obviously have to say to your parents, I understand that I haven't actually done it before. I can't say that I'm going to be committed as much as I am now. You know, you've got to sort of understand it from their point of view. Show a little bit of maturity. And honestly, I was going on for about 2 or 3 years before I actually got my first lesson. And it doesn't work. It really doesn't. Not even leave presentations alone, by the way, as well. If I didn't make that clear to you before, just don't even touch that, because that's not, no. So yeah, you basically just want to get a list on a little sort of, write it all down, write down prices of certain places, write down places that you think look good. You can actually say to your parents, I've got a list of places that I really like the look of. If you do agree, can we go and visit them? So obviously, you know, you do want to make sure you're going about it in a mature sort of way, and yeah, and that's the best way to actually get your parents to agree to it. Okay, so number 2 is what you're going to need for your first lesson. Quite honestly, not much, but obviously if you're not completely committed, there is no point getting expensive things. Like, there is 0 point doing that, because not only are you paying for it, your parents will probably be paying for it, and there's no point wasting anyone's money on stuff that you're not completely convinced about. After all, you are just starting riding, so you don't need to go over the top with brands or whatever. Obviously you're going to need heeled boots. You can get them quite cheap, and you don't need to go for anything expensive. You can get some really quite cheap, such as this. I mean, cheap ones can range from anything from £20 to £30, and they are good quality, but Obviously you do pay for what you get, but you are just starting out, so it doesn't really matter. The next thing that you can think about getting is obviously a pair of breeches. You don't have to go expensive. You can get jodhpurs or breeches, it doesn't really matter. The only difference between jodhpurs and breeches are the ankle adjustment, that's the wrong wording. So breeches will come with a bottom like this, with the Velcro that you can make smaller or bigger depending on the size of your ankle, or like this where they are sock bottom, which is basically just elastic at the bottom there, which will obviously be a better fit because it will be flat against your ankle rather than the Velcro, which is quite bulky. The jodhpurs are a little bit more bulky around the ankle. That doesn't matter, you can just fold them over so they're sort of folded over. So you can get a pair of breeches or jodhpurs, it's not completely necessary. Most riding schools will say you can ride in jeans for the first few lessons just for you to get a feel of it, and then you can obviously buy more expensive ones. But jodhpurs and breeches aren't that expensive. You can get some jodhpurs for about like £10. You can get a pair of breeches like this, or a pair of jodhpurs like this, which I will link all of these things that I'm featuring down below in the description so you can have a look, as well as 2 websites which are really good at cheap stuff if you are interested in that. So they will be really ideal, but again not necessary until you are completely committed that this is the sport for you. And you may think that you need a hat, which you don't really, because most riding schools actually give you hats which are both safe and up to the current standard, and they will fit it for you, so that's not a problem until your next few lessons again. But if you are looking to buy a hat because you know that you are committed to it, don't really get cheap ones. This is the one thing that you can't really be cheap on. Any other bit of equestrian stuff you can, but hats ideally you can't really. So number 3 is how to look for a stable that is right for you. This is obviously very important because you don't want to be stuck at a yard that you don't enjoy, or stuck at a yard that you don't feel comfortable with. You want to start learning to ride in an environment that you feel really comfortable in and really sort of secure in, so you can, you know, get the best out of the start to your riding. Ideally, if you can, go to see loads of different yards in your area, you know, phone people up, get through word of mouth, speak to horsey people. They will tell you without hesitation what yard is good and what yard is bad, so that is definitely worth doing. If not, go onto the internet, search for yards in your areas, make a list of the stuff that you think you like, and then go and visit them. Just literally go up there, spend the day up there, speak to the yard owner, speak to the instructors, speak to the people who are actually up there after their lessons, see what they all think about it, and yes, that is the best way to do it. Have a look at the British Horse Society. If you are in the UK, they have a whole list of riding stables that are actually approved by them. I will link it, I'll try and link it down below if I can find it, but if not, just Google it. Because BHS has basically gone around all these different riding schools, and they're a bit like Ofsted for riding schools basically. And if you don't know what Ofsted is because you're in a different country, I just realised that. Ofsted over here in the UK, you probably have a similar thing where you are. So it's a government run group who basically go around different schools and make sure they are up to the standard. The BHS does it with riding schools, and they go around all different riding schools and make sure they are up to the BHS standard, which is basically the top riding school standard you can get in the UK. Okay you guys, so I hope this is somewhat helpful. I know obviously for people who have been riding for quite some time, it's obviously not ideal because it's a bit boring. But I hope it's helpful for those who are just starting out, and I hope you enjoy the sport because it is a cool sport. If you like our videos and you want to see more of them, then just click subscribe down below. And yeah, we've got some great videos coming up, so it is worth having a little look. So yeah, we'll see you in our next video. Bye!